Hey y'all, welcome to today's video. So I got some requests for a kind of makeup for dummies as you will video, so that's what I'm gonna do today. We're just gonna go from start to finish to get a really good basic makeup look that anybody could do. So if you like this video while you're watching it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you already haven't. Do all the things, and let's get into today's video. Thank you for the couple of people who requested this video, because I have been trying to find some more video ideas because I didn't want to be so redundant. But yeah, good old how to do makeup look I think is a great idea for anybody out there. So I'm going to be using some good makeup that I already had, and then we are going to be trying out some new makeup that I just got. And I'm super excited because y'all know I love makeup brushes, and when I was in Walmart I found these like really awesome neon pack of makeup brushes, and I want to say this is only like $8, and you get 8 brushes, and they are by the brand Moda. I have quite a few of their brushes already, so definitely going to be using this today. For the palette, I wanted to choose like a basic palette because I know not everybody out there likes a really bold eye look. You just want to go out with a little bit of pop on the eyes. So for the palette, I chose the ColourPop That's Taupe palette. Now, I have not used this before, which is another reason why I wanted to use it in today's video. But it is a nice like neutral brown toned palette that a lot of people could use. So there is that, and of course, I mean, look at that packaging. Like, I love the snake print, because if you know me, we do have 2 snakes. So yeah, we are gonna start off with primer. So when I say primer, I don't necessarily mean that you have to go out and buy a makeup primer. So your makeup is only gonna wear as good as your skin is underneath. So if you're starting out with a dry, flaky palette, if you will, that's what we're going to call the face, then makeup is not necessarily going to sit very well on it. Especially it really depends on the type of foundation that you're using. So for primer, I would recommend using an SPF. If you're going to be going outside that day, you can use any type of your favorite moisturizer, or if you do want to buy a primer, one of my favorite drugstore primers to use is the Wet n Wild Impossible Primer. And this is a primer that is one of my newest primers that I got. I've never really heard of this before, and it is an amazing face primer from the drugstore. I want to say that this is less than $5. I put a little bit of this on my fingers. This is a clear formula. It does have a very, very light scent to it. But you're just going to put your primer all over the skin. And I usually always make sure that I get quite a bit around my nose area, because that is where my foundation tends to break up the most. So I definitely want to get this good and primed. You want to get nice and hydrated, because you really want that makeup to have a nice face to start out on. So I'm going to finish putting this all over the forehead, and I do feel like to get this all over the skin, I do feel like it does take a couple pumps. That's the only thing, but still, for the price and how well it works, it is totally worth it. This is probably one of my top 3 drugstore primers out there right now. Oh, also too, I did kind of change the settings that I'm using to film on. So I am doing a manual setting. So if it doesn't focus as fast, I apologize. My main concern was watching my past videos. Everything was really like warm and not really looking the true color that they were. Like my hair looked way more yellow. My teeth were looking way more yellow than they really are in person. So I'm testing the ISO on my camera right now. Alright, so now that we got the primer on, you want to make sure that it's nice and set. This primer in particular, it does have a slight of a tacky finish, but I don't feel like you have to sit very long to let this kind of dry down. For foundation today, we are going to be using the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. This is brand new to me. This was also part of Sephora's like 50% off that they were doing. I have been wanting this foundation for a really long time, but didn't want to pay the price point for it, but I did get it for half off. It does come in this really beautiful like frosted bottle. Now I will say the one thing that I don't like about this foundation is that it really doesn't have a pump. It just has a lid and then the bottle, which I feel like for a higher price point foundation, they could have made the packaging just a little bit better. So that right off the bat, that is my one concern with this foundation. So I was just looking on Sephora because I wasn't sure, but this is a matte finish. So if you have more of dry skin and you're not really priming your face very well, when you go to put a matte foundation on that, it's going to look cakey. It's probably going to accentuate all of those places on your skin that you might have flakes from it being dry, which is why it's very important, especially if you're going to be using a matte foundation, you want to make sure you use a super hydrating primer or moisturizer. Alright, so to go in with this, I'm going to put my finger on top of it, and I am just going to start putting this on the face, and I really don't know how quick this dries down, so I'm only going to go one side at a time. For the foundation, I'm going to be using my all-time favorite, my Haley's foundation brush. I do think this is going to be a good shade match. Which, by the way, the shade of this is 1C0 Shell. Right off the bat, it is kind of light coverage. It does have a slight bit of a scent. That's one of the reasons why it took me so long to buy this foundation, because I remember when this like first launched, I think one of the complaints was the scent that this had. So that was one of the reasons why I was just automatically like turned off by this product. But honestly, it really just smells like foundation. It doesn't smell like there's any extra fragrance there. I'm gonna get some more foundation on here, and we're gonna see how much I can build this up. Okay, it does look like that it has built up a little bit more. I want to say so far this is actually a really high medium coverage. There you can see without any makeup, and then there is the side with. And I'm going to move you all in just a little bit closer. There we go. This does dry down a little fast, so I do recommend doing a little bit at a time. And I do feel like I've had to use like quite a bit of this foundation already, so I don't know that I love that. Whenever I'm doing my foundation, I try really hard to not get my foundation on my eyebrows. So as you can tell, yes, my eyebrows are permanently done, and it was done fairly recent. So I really don't have to do a whole lot of anything to my brows right now. I haven't had much hair growth yet up there, so that's another reason why it's just I usually just leave my brows the way they are. However, just depending on the makeup look, I will use a brow gel, which I'm using today to kind of just give that more of a finished look, because if you can see right now, my eyebrows look a little soft, and I just need a little more like shine up there so they don't look so ashy. Okay, so I think we are good on foundation. It was a pretty good shade match. Wow, okay, this actually feels like it's set down really nicely, so I am not going to put a powder on it because I honestly don't feel that it needs it. And a lot of times with matte foundations, you really don't want to have to finish it with the powder, because then you're going to look even more just like matte, and you're going to have that more powdery look on the face. All right, since we are not using the setting powder, I am going to go in with a little concealer. Okay, so why do we use concealer? So in the beauty world, I feel like there are two different reasons that we will wear concealer. One is that we are really trying to conceal any of those lines or discoloration under your eyelids. Or two, you can always just use concealer to brighten up this portion of the face. Now, depending on why you are wearing concealer is going to depend on the type of concealer that you buy. So one of my favorite concealers, because I do have a little bit of discoloration under both of my eyes up here, and I like to kind of correct them with a concealer that's also kind of a correcting agent as well. So this is the Caliray Hideaway concealer, and it is more of a pink concealer. I don't know how well you can see that in this, but I just really love how this blends in and brightens up that under eye, but it does also conceal a little bit of that discoloration that I have. One thing I don't love about this packaging is the lid. It is rigid, and for somebody like me, which I have a problem with my grip, this is actually really difficult for me to open. I would really love if they would do like one of like the soft silicone caps on this. If they were just to fix that, I would say that this is probably my favorite concealer of all time. You know, actually, no, it don't even matter. This, regardless of this lid, this is probably one of my favorite concealers of all time. So most of your concealers are going to have a doe foot applicator, and you can really see, focus camera, there you go. It is more of a pink concealer. And I'm just going to put a couple dots of this under each of my eyes. Now you can like really see how pink they are compared to like the foundation that I have on. I love this concealer so much. To blend the concealer, I am using my all-time favorite concealer brush, and this is the BK Beauty A506. And I'm just going to go in and blend this out. This is such a beautiful concealer, and something else that's really nice is I've been able to use this concealer with almost every foundation that I own. If I could only have one concealer for the rest of my life, it would be this. Alright, so that concealer is blended out, and you can see that it did just brighten up this area just a little bit and make it look more seamless. Okay, so before eyelid primers got really big, most of the time I would just take a concealer, put it all over the eyelids, and then set it with powder. But now, since they have eyelid primer, I mean, this has just been a game changer, especially the Rare Beauty. This is the best eyelid primer ever. So the reason of an eyelid primer is because there are a lot of us that if you close your eyelid, you're going to see little veins of discolorations on it. So basically what the eyelid primer is doing is it's just going to cancel out all that color and then create a nice flawless base for your eyeshadows to go on. This is also a doe foot applicator, And I'm going to put a couple little dots on my eyelids, and I'm just going to use that same concealer brush. And I am actually just going to push that all over that eyelid up there. So this next step is really completely optional, and it is based on how your skin is. So if you have oily eyelids, which a lot of people do have oily eyelids, when you go to put that eyelid primer or concealer on there, if you don't set that with a powder, it's going to crease. It is going to crease on the eyelids the same way it creases on when you're putting it in this area. So I highly recommend taking a little powder brush and just setting all over the eyelid, and then I'll take the rest and just bring it down under the eyes. To do that, I'm actually going to be using the Physicians Formula Diamond Blur Skincare Powder, and I have never used this. It does come with a mirror inside, and then it comes with a little sponge, which, I mean, that's like a perfect size to like get right there under the eyes, but I usually never use a sponge like this. So when you open it, the powder sits in here, and I'm going to take this little Real Techniques 402 brush. This is called their setting brush, and I'm actually going to take some of that powder, and I'm going to set the eyelid. And this is a true translucent powder, so it's not adding any color to the lids. And I'm just going to take that little bit extra that's on my brush and just dab that right underneath my eyes to kind of set that concealer. Now we are ready for eyeshadow, and I'm so excited to use this palette. Allie Glines used this palette in one of her videos, and I was like, I don't know how I don't have this palette yet. I mean, first of all, look at that packaging. I mean, that snake print, it's beautiful. And then these colors are just everything. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to want to get a fluffy eyeshadow brush. This is the BKA 503. And I'm going to go in this light shade right here that's called Boa. And I'm just going to put that all over the lid. And what that is doing is it's creating a eyeshadow base that is going to allow the other eyeshadows to just blend flawlessly right on top. Now I'm going to take a smaller fluffy brush. This is more of a precise shader brush, and I'm actually going to go into this little darker shade right here that's called Python. Now this color, wow, it had way more pigment than I thought. I'm actually going to just focus this right in the crease of the eyelid. The way that this brush is shaped, it just fits in there just so well and blends so easy. If you're in the market for eyeshadow brushes, I highly recommend BK Beauty. They are, I would say they're a more affordable makeup brush, and they are amazing quality. And the owner of BK Beauty, Lisa J, she is just so great. You all need to go follow her here on YouTube as well, because she does a lot of these like videos too. And yeah, she's great. Alright, so now that we got that kind of mid-tone color down, we're going to take an even smaller brush. This is another BK Beauty brush. This is their A504. And this time we're going to go into this dark shade right here. It is called Bedrock. And we're just going to put this on the outer corner of the eyelid. Now, why do we do this? Whenever you put eyeshadow on, the way that you place your shadows and the colors that you use are really going to open up your eyes. Now, I'm not really doing like nothing crazy today. I'm not doing a winged eyeliner or eye look or anything like that today. Having this dark color on the outside of the lid is just really gonna make your eyeshadows really like open your eyes up. It's really hard to explain. This shade is a little bit powdery, but it is blending flawlessly. I mean, I love ColourPop's eyeshadow palettes. I really don't ever like have any issues with them. So if you dip into your eyeshadow palette and they look powdery, before you put the shadow to the eye, you want to tap off that excess powder, because if you don't, that excess powder will fall down onto your makeup, which is called fallout. Alright, so we are done with that dark shade, and these colors are beautiful. Like, this is going to be on my top palette list. Now that we got all the matte shades done, you really want a good like shimmer to really make that eye look pop. Most of the time, in my experience, usually shimmer shades like these typically go on better with the finger. Sometimes you can spray your brush with some setting spray that you're using. Sometimes that will help. So we're going to try that first. So when you're putting down a shimmer, you want to use a flat brush like this. And just to show you guys, so what color do I want to go in with on the lid? I think I'm going to use this shade right here for the lid, which is called Cold Blooded. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to dip my brush in it with no setting spray. It did pick up some of it. And now we're just going to put this all over the eyelid. I'm going to move you all in just a little bit. So right off the bat, using just a regular brush, we didn't really get much payoff here. So the next thing we're going to try is we're going to try to use the setting spray. So the setting spray that I'm using today is just the Rare Beauty. And you want to spray your brush, dip down into the color. Okay, and that really didn't do a whole lot either. So now we're going to go in with the good old-fashioned finger. That's what she said. Alright, so there's what that shade looks like. Wow, that is pretty. Alright, there we go. See how much more payoff there was using just your finger? Like, I have just come to learn, when in doubt, always use your finger. I know it's kind of hard to see because I do have hooded eyes, which I guess I should have brought that up. So hooded eyes, if you have hooded eyes, that means that your top eyelid, whenever you're just resting your eyes, if your top lid covers your bottom lid, that means you have hooded eyes. So when you have hooded eyes, you want to like bring your eyeshadows up higher because you want to open that eye more. With that skin sitting on one another, it's kind of really hard to see like the transition, which it took me forever to realize that, because like Juicy Jazz, she did an eye look just here recently on her last video that was gorgeous. It was like this beautiful purple look, but because she's got like normal eyes, I would say, we'll say unhooded eyes, it just was like a flawless eyeshadow look. So when you do have hooded eyes, it is a lot more difficult to get that look with eyeshadows. Just that one swipe into that color just like covered that eyelid so well. Like, I will say, and of course my right eye is the one I can't close right, I will say that ColourPop does have some amazing shimmers. And I do have a tiny bit of fallout underneath this eye. So I'm just going to take a small, but just a fluffy brush. I'm just going to wipe that away. Okay, so now that we got that shimmer down, I'm going to go back in with this small fluffy brush. And I'm actually going to dip into the shade Python again right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put a little bit of this just right here to kind of blend that shimmer into that dark shade. That way it doesn't look like such a blunt edge, and it kind of like ombres together, if you will. We are done with the eyes for now. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is a bronzer or contour. Now, this step of the makeup look is completely to your preference. So, why do we contour? We contour because we want to accentuate the natural features of our face. So, if you're looking at me and there are shadows, they're typically going to be here, here, and then you kind of want to like sculpt the face out here. And basically what that's going to do is it's just going to accentuate your natural features. Now, you can do that with a contour, which typically a contour is going to be more of a gray brown shade. And then a bronzer is typically going to be a more warm tone, sun-kissed look to the face. Now, I don't just contour. I always go in with the bronzer. Some people call it bronzing, but I just prefer the bronzer. So for the bronzer today, we are going to be using a new one to me, and this is the L'Oreal Paris Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. And this is in the shade 200 Fair. This was just recommended to me by somebody, and I can't remember who it was. So there is what that looks like. And it does have, when you open up the bottom, it actually has a mirror on one side. So that's kind of cute. So for bronzers, there are two brushes that I like to use. The first brush is the BK Beauty 104. And as you can see, this is more of a tapered, fluffy brush. And then the other brush that I like to use is my Anisa Beauty tapered highlight brush. Now, this is also a smaller, fluffy brush. You can see that the sizes are a little bit different. I feel like both of these do the exact same regardless of their size, especially the way that I use it. So today, I'm going to go in with the Anisa tapered highlight brush. Now, I would recommend the very first time you use a bronzer, especially because you don't know how it's going to hit your skin. After you tap into that, you want to go on the back of your hand and just dab, 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 because you want to kind of get the placement of the bronzer all over the brush. Now we're going to go in on the face. And you're going to want to apply the bronzer in this area of the face here, along the side of the head and to the forehead. This does kind of have a slight scent to it. It does blend really well. I don't think it's super pigmented, which, as you all know, I prefer. I like to be able to build up my bronzers and my blushes rather than going in hard and then having a brown mess on your face, because sometimes bronzers can be really hard to fix. Yeah, it does have a slight scent, but it's not too bad. I am super sensitive to scents, and this really doesn't bother me. I really don't know how well you all can see that. I'm really trying to work out the color on my camera, guys, so just bear with me. And if any of you all know anything about photography and cameras and have any recommendations, feel free to shoot them down below, because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm just here to do makeup, y'all. Alright, so we are good on bronzer, and now we're going to go in with blush. The blush today that I'm going to use is actually my very first blush that I ever purchased. For years, I never wore blush with my makeup ever. And then I purchased this one from ColourPop, and I cannot remember the shade of this. Hold on, I have it in a spreadsheet. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I have spreadsheets on everything. Like, just give me a reason to make a good spreadsheet. The shade of this is called I Need Space. Oh, there she is. And I'm going to go in with my favorite blush brush. And typically for blush, I always like to use an angled brush like this. This is the BK Beauty A507. But I just got a new brush from BK, so let me break that out. Here she is. So this is the BK 112, and I have seen so many people use this, and it's just a smaller angled fluffy brush. I mean, you can really tell the difference between these. So we're actually going to go in with the 112 today. So just like the bronzer, pop into that. And you're going to want to put your blush, like if you just barely smile, you want to put that blush right on the apples of the cheeks right there. And this is such a really nice, not super bright pink. It's a little more mauve-y, which those are the types of blushes that I prefer. Just really also helps warm up the face. And I'm going to go in on the other side. I feel like for the most part, my blushes that I purchase are usually drugstore blushes. I will say I feel like the drugstore in general has just really been like killing it lately with their makeup releases, and which is so nice because, you know, not everybody wants to spend a fortune on makeup, and you know, I don't blame them. I mean, I do buy makeup because obviously I do these videos, but yeah, it's really nice to find good makeup that's affordable and you're still getting good quality. Alright, so there is the blush. She's looking a little rosy. Now we are going to go in and finish the eyes real quick. Now, I always like to do a pop of color under the lower lash line. I think it just really makes the eyes, it just brings them out, and it makes them just look so much more beautiful. Okay, so whenever I'm doing a color under the eyelid, I always like to use a small brush like this because it's really precise and you can really get in right up there against that waterline. I am going to go into the shade that is Bedrock, that dark shade here. And I'm just going to start stamping that right there under that lash line. This shade is really powdery. I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye. And you don't want to go all the way into the corner. You just want to keep this on kind of the middle and outer portions of the eye because, like I said, you are trying to open the eye. Or make the eye look more open, if you will. Alright. Alright, so now that we have that dark shade down, I'm just going to go back. Oh, do I want to use that? Yeah, so I'm just going to go back in with that same small fluffy brush that I used earlier. And I'm going to dip into the shade right here, and it's called Pebbled Beach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I am going to blend that out with that darker color under the eye. Oh yeah, that is so nice. I mean, it just gives that nice smoky look down there. Ah, it's so good. And I'm going to take that brush, and when I get to the end over here, I'm actually going to just buff that out of that corner right there. So it looks like that the eyeshadow is just seamless around the side of the eye. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take this shade right here, and it's called Slated, and I'm going to actually put that on the inner corners of the eyelid, and what that's going to do is just going to brighten up that inner eye. To do that, I'm just going to use this pencil brush. It's just a Morphe pencil brush, and I'm going to go into that shade. I might not get the look that I'm going for on this, but we're going to try it. And we're going to put that right there in the inner corner. So yeah, this isn't really giving me what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some of this on the other eye, so everything's uniform. But I'm actually going to grab a color out of the highlight palette that I'm going to use. So for a highlighter, we're going to use this Flower Beauty palette, and I love this palette so much. It is so pigmented. And I'm actually going to go in, I'm actually going to go with that gold shade. I'm going to use that same pencil brush. There we go. That's the payoff I want. And we're going to put that right there in the inner corner, and bam! Oh yeah, she's pretty. I'm telling you, this is honestly one of the best drugstore highlighters ever made. Let's see, can you all see that gold right there in that inner corner? My camera is really having a hard time focusing, guys, and I apologize. Alright, so move y'all back a little bit. While I have the palette out, we're going to go in with highlighter. Now, highlight is exactly what it says it is. It highlights the high points of the face. So typically when somebody highlights, they're going to highlight here at the top of the cheekbones. Sometimes they'll do it right down the bridge of the nose. Sorry, I was distracted by a bug. And then sometimes people do it, well, above the lips and even on the forehead. Now, I like to use highlight in two places. And let me get a highlight brush. So this is just the Jaclyn Hill highlighter brush. And I am actually going to go in with this top shade here. And she beams, y'all. Don't let it fool you. Now, I'm going to put highlight right in this area here. I mean, look at that. So pretty. I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. It's sometimes really hard for me to get the left side of my face because this position is awkward. So yeah, just look at that highlight. That is so pretty. Now I'm going to take that same highlight on another brush, and I'm going to use this ColourPop pencil brush, and I'm going to put it right here at the top of this eyelid. And I just think that really makes that eye look pop. I mean, look at that. Stunning. There is not a single high-end highlighter that I would recommend over this. So Flower Beauty, this is my favorite. Please don't ever discontinue this. Now for eyeliner. So for eyeliner today, I'm actually going to use a brown eyeliner, and this is the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner, and this is a brown, and the shade is called Juniper. Here's what she looks like. She is a very nice deep brown, and we're going to put that on the waterline. The reason that I hold the brush on my face is because that's the only way that I can get the eyeliner on my waterline without screwing up. I will say it is an art watching some people put eyeliner on the waterline. Like, it's amazing. I will typically use my brush because if I use my finger, I will end up leaving like a fingerprint in it. Alright, and now for mascara. I do have a mascara that is new to use, and this is the Maybelline Last Sensational Sky High Mascara. The original Last Sensational was actually my favorite mascara of all time, and really it still kind of is for just a normal mascara. I mean, it's great. This packaging though, like, that is so pretty. Ooh. There is the applicator, and I did forget to say this is an actual brown mascara. It's called True Brown, and this does feel like kind of a flimsy applicator, so I'd definitely be cautious with that. Alright, so for me, I've said it before, but my eyelashes are still in the process of growing back. I lost them during chemo, if you are new here. So I will not give a full review on a mascara for you guys right now, because I don't feel like that's fair to do that. However, I really do like this applicator. It does feel like it's actually pulling the lashes up, which is nice. Okay, actually, wow, that is a big difference. Like, okay, love that so far. Alright, so while that is drying, now we're going to go into brows. Now, like I said, my brows are permanent. I did get them tattooed on because, of course, I lost them during chemo as well. And I'd wanted my eyebrows done for a really long time, but then when I lost everything during chemo, I was like, you know what, I'm not losing my brows again. So if ever I have to go through chemo again, which hopefully I don't, I won't not have any brows. So I do have two new brow products to use, and they are both CoverGirl. They are from their Clean Fresh line, and the first one is their Clean Fresh Brow Liner, and this is in the shade Soft Brown. Now the back of this says 1mm Nano Pencil. So this is obviously going to have a really, really tiny applicator. If I can get it out. There we go. So there is that. So yeah, she is very, very skinny. Let's see, so on the one side you have your brow crayon, sorry, and then you have your spoolie on the other. Now I am going to go in, wow, that is so small, guys. I I can't get it to focus, I'm sorry. Alright, and I'm going to actually take this and I'm just going to do the smallest strokes just right here in the front, because I do feel like that's where mine are lacking a little bit. But okay, this color, okay, and it just broke. Don't love that. It is a very, very, very light brown, so will not be using this because this is definitely not my color. Just gonna work that out a little bit. We'll definitely be returning this. Okay, so I grabbed two other brow options here. One of them is the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow. I don't know what shade it is. And then we also have the Joa Precision Brow Pencil, and this is one of my favorite brow products. I've been using this for so long. This was originally a recommendation by Taylor Wynn, so I think that's what we're going to use today. So you have your pencil on one side, spoolie on the other. Yeah, this color much better. And I'm just going to go through the very front of these brows and just do little flick-like marks to kind of fill that in. And then I'm going to do a little bit here too. And then you'll want to take your spoolie and kind of brush that color out. To fill them in a little bit. And like I said, I know it's hard to see on me because my brows are tattooed on. But this is my #1 recommendation for a drugstore brow product. You can get these at CVS. I don't know if you can get it on Amazon or not, but definitely check CVS. One thing I do use when I go out is a brow gel. And currently the brow gel that I'm using is the NYX Brow Freak, I think. It comes in the white tube. It does look like it has a smaller applicator, which is nice. That is one thing about the NYX that I don't love. It does have a really large applicator, and actually I'm going to show you that to compare. There is the NYX applicator, and here is the CoverGirl. We're going to go in with on the brows with this one. Yes, this is much better. This more reminds me of the Anastasia brow gel. I don't buy high-end brow products a lot because I think the drugstore just does them really well. But yeah, that definitely, it does feel wet. And that really did just set that little bit of fluffy hair that I had in there down. So, okay, I really like this. And it is just a clear brow gel. But now we are going to set the face. So setting spray can help for multiple reasons. One, it can just make the finish of the makeup just look a little bit better. And two, it is going to help the makeup last. So most of my favorite setting sprays are from the drugstore. But I would say my #1 setting spray from more of a high-end is going to be the Rare Beauty. This is what that container looks like, and obviously this is the mini. I don't buy full size in anything because I use so much makeup, I'll never go through it. But it does have just this nice normal spray nozzle here. This does have a slight scent to it. So we're going to set the face. This smells like something that you would get at a spa. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very nice. Don't feel like you're getting water spots just hitting your face. So yeah, even though I used a matte foundation, you can really see how the way that I chose my other makeup really just made the face not look so matte and flat. Like, highly recommend this setting spray. Alright, for the final step, we are going to go in with the lips. And I've said it in my videos before, I really don't wear lipstick very often. Typically, I will use a lip liner and a gloss. I don't know, I've never really been into lipstick, and I don't know why. For a lip liner, I'm actually going to be using the Milani Color Statement Lip Liner, and this is in the shade 03 Nude. Typically for lip liners, because I'm fair, I like to find more of a mauve soft tone lip liner. I'm not really, well, don't get me wrong, sometimes, you know, you just need a good red lip. But I prefer more of my lips but better, and I feel like that this lip liner just does that for me. Now, I only put the lip liner in the corners of my lips, and then I will kind of bring them in and kind of rub them in with my fingers just to soften that lip liner up. Now, the reason that I do this is because I don't wear lipstick, but I want a little bit of color on my lips, and I feel like just putting a little bit of that lip liner down, especially if you're using a stick like this, it's typically going to last longer. I am going to top this with the Maybelline Lifter Gloss plus Hyaluronic Acid. I do have a couple shades of these, but this is in the shade 021 Gummy Bear. And yeah, that's partially the reason why I bought it, because I'm addicted to gummy bears. There is what she looks like. It's just a big doe foot applicator. It does have a slight, maybe a little fruity, but maybe also a little sweet. I can't really pinpoint it. This does add a little pop of color, which is why I really like these. And I think with that lip liner, it just looks so nice on the lips. If you can find you a good lip liner that really looks like your lips but better, and top it with a gloss like this, this is really all you need. Alright guys, so that is it for today's look. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know down below if there are any other videos that you want to see. And yeah, I mean, what do you all think? I think it turned out really good. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. I totally forgot about these. Next video, y'all.